That is the hardest part of that ring.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
The hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 151 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. I'm not Adam. I'm never going to be Adam. No matter how much I try, I don't have it in me. I'm Sam. Adam's not here. I'm joined today by John.
Hello.
And Brett.
Hello. Here's a turn up for the books. I'm here and Adam's not.
It's weird, isn't it? We've given Adam some time off for good behaviour.
I think it's because he watched these matches and he decided, nah.
Didn't fancy it.
That's going to make the listener want to listen, isn't it?
We are selling this podcast. Adam couldn't make it today. Just too busy, too important, doing important podcast things that are not this podcast. Is that right? If you do want to hear Adam, you can hear him in our last podcast, episode 150 of all podcasts, our top 50 wrestlers revisited. And that was, that's a great... It's fun to rank things, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, lists are awesome.
This is the thing, is that if there's one thing we know about Hardest Part of the Ring, is that we love lists and we love a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I don't know. This podcast wouldn't exist without spreadsheets, I don't think.
It really wouldn't. And the best part is every time we say that, Brett looks a little bit more awkward every time.
Yeah. I was going to say our friendship is based on spreadsheets, but I was like, oh, Brett hates spreadsheets.
Yeah, I don't know how they work.
They're just maths. They're just fun maths, though.
Yeah, but I do spreadsheets, but I do them with no maths. So the whole point in the spreadsheet, I never use that part because I'm
horrified by that. That just makes me really sad. But today is not the spreadsheet ranking episode. It's not our top 50. In fact, we are returning to The Undertaking, Volume 8. So this is the point in the podcast where Adam would normally hand over to me to host. So I'm going to hand over to me to host and explain.
Great handover, Sam.
Yes.
Thanks, John.
It's so seamless. Oh, my God.
Right.
Smoothest handover we've ever had on this podcast.
A lot of people call me the Shawn Michaels of handovers. So you must be asking, what is The Undertaking? It's been so long since we've last done one. Well, allow me to enlighten you, dear listener. The Undertaking is a retrospective review of the pay-per-view events that The Undertaker has participated in. It follows his career from 1990 to 2020 and provides a snapshot. Sorry, John is drinking a milkshake.
Sorry, it's probably quite loud for the mic. I need to cut that out.
I'm so incredibly jealous.
I'll stop. Sorry, guys. It's so unprofessional of me.
It follows his career from 1990 to 2020 and provides a snapshot of the wrestling landscape at the time. Previously on The Undertaker, we had the story of doppelgangers and sumo, as the Deadman would take on Ted Dibiase's fake Undertaker, followed up by a return to the casket match to take revenge on the smoothest man in wrestling, Yokozuna. And there's a bit of everything in that episode. There's gigantic comical urns, gigantic comical wrestlers, Chuck Norris. Adam even says during this episode he has a bit of a thing for IRS, so I'm gutted that he's not here today because there's so much to unpack there. And if you want to relive the madness of four grown men discussing how pantomimed undead wizards get into fights with themselves over 30 years ago, then look no further than episode 140. But now we move on to today's matches. Match 18 of The Undertaker's pay-per-view career, starting with Royal Rumble 95.
Welcome everyone to the Sunshine State. Welcome to Tampa, Florida. Welcome to the campus of the University of South Florida and the magnificent Sun Dome. Indeed, welcome to the 1995
Match 18, Royal Rumble 95 versus the IRS, not the IRS the wrestler, at the USF Sundome in Tampa Bay, Florida. What were you guys doing in 1995? In January 95, I want to ask.
Oh, it'd be nearly my birthday. I would have been 12.
Oh, good age.
Yeah.
A lot of fun things.
I don't know what I was doing at 12, though.
I think
Primary
football
school
was my
still?
thing at 12. Yeah, you're kind of at the end of primary school
Yeah.
at 12, I think.
I swear I don't have any memories until Euro 96. I think that's my first...
096. God, I was thinking Italia 90.
No, I don't remember. I definitely don't
For
remember.
me,
Italia 90.
oh God, I'm only. I was 14, so I'm only 2 years older. Like, how can it feel like so many more years just by that statement alone?
Brain development wise, it's loads though.
Do you remember what you were doing in January 1995?
No, not a clue. I was probably playing basketball.
Oh, that's quite cool.
Yeah.
What about you,
Played a
Sam?
lot of basketball as soon as I went to secondary school. So
1995, I would have been 7. I think it was kind of playing football, just wanting to be Eric Cantona. That was the goal at that point.
Was that the FA Cup goal? That wasn't that.
I think so, against Liverpool.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh.
Actually, I remember that. There we go. Maybe that's my first memory point. Eric Cantona's volley against Liverpool in the FA Cup final.
That's how we measure time. That's when they say like BC, they actually mean before Cantona.
dark days.
So, yeah, 1995 versus IRS at the Royal Rumble at the USF, the Sundome in Tampa Bay, Florida. Do you guys know what the Sundome is better known as now?
The Pringles Tube Sundome.
It's not. It's not a great guess.
I don't know what they call it. Is it the current iteration of whatever they do all their
It is
episodes
indeed. Yes, so the Sundome became the Youngling Centre, which then became the WWE Thunderdome.
Thunderdome. I knew it was
No,
Dome something.
really?
Yeah, how cool is that?
Come full circle, guys.
I know. So this is kind of weird. The feud with Erwin R. Shyster would sort of actually begin on October 23rd, 1994, which is weird because this predates his match with Yokozuna at Survivor Series. But regardless, it was on this fateful October day that IRS would declare outside of a funeral home that dead people are basically tax dodgers, which understandably gets the dead man's back up.
He's all about dead rights.
Someone's got to fight for them. And IRS would even interfere in the aforementioned Survivor Series match. I think he put Taker in a sleeper and basically put him in the coffin.
Yeah, because on the previous episode of The Undertaking, he kind of run in, didn't he, IRS? And absolutely wrecked The Undertaker with like
He did.
one kick.
There's a little bit of a pattern, as we're going to see here.
Yeah.
People running into Undertaker matches. And
That
wiping
feels
them
like
out.
quite a New Japan thing, where they always start the feuds in the press conference after. This era of WWE, it's always straight after the match in the ring. And start the feud.
Indeed. So, yeah, IRS would interfere in the Survivor Series match, and 4 days later, he would go to a cemetery to declare his intentions to audit The Undertaker for tax evasion. Because,
What is the IRS's motivation here? Because so does he work for the Inland Revenue? Is he doing the wrestling stuff as a side, as like a fun thing he does just to keep fit?
So my understanding has always been that kayfabe, the Inland Revenue Service, realised that there was a big amount of wrestlers who weren't paying their taxes and so needed to get a man on in the inside to collect taxes. And so IRS was hired, but he was the personal accountant of Ted DiBiase and was corrupted into being a heel.
Oh, that actually makes sense.
Like, he wouldn't be a very good tax man working for Ted DiBiase, would he?
No, I can't imagine he's paid much tax in the last... Where's his tax returns, eh?
I suppose it depends on kind of good for who.
Yeah.
Also, like, he must have been a heel everywhere he went, right? IRS. Except for, like, Washington, D.C. Do you reckon at the Capitol they really love him?
Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like we should be doing, like, a deep dive into the IRS, to IRS's career, because
there's also only through like some basketball stuff. Do they not pay like tax in Tampa?
Wait, what?
Don't pay tax in Tampa.
Well, because like the Toronto Raptors got based in Tampa because of COVID for like the season, and like they kept on talking about the players liking it because they didn't pay tax.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Wow.
maybe that makes sense of why WWE is sort of like based there, along with obviously the dodgy COVID rules.
Yeah, it's weird how people with all the money are the ones that don't like paying taxes.
Yeah, it's strange that.
Yeah.
What are the odds? So IRS would go to the cemetery and he would declare his intentions to audit the Undertaker for tax evasion. And we got a clip of it. We'll put it in here.
Well, guess who? Yes, it's me, once again, IRS. And today's subject? Well, what else? Taxes. Because nothing in this world compares to the power of taxes. Not even death. Because as I have demonstrated the past few weeks, everyone, and I mean everyone, sooner or later has to pay their taxes. So here is my final graveside tax tip. Since everyone is just dying to get in here, I was contemplating on investigating every last tax cheat in this place. However, those investigations are going to have to wait due to the fact that I have something much bigger to audit. And that's you, Undertaker. So be forewarned that you're under investigation by me, IRS. And when I'm through with you, it will be you that will be resting in peace.
And it's worth seeking out this clip and watching it because at the very end, the camera pans round to reveal he is accompanied by two druids wearing black robes with hoods, which makes them look like reverse KKK
Yeah,
members.
I mean, they don't look like druids. They look really sinister.
Yeah. Proper KKK vibes.
They've got huge dollar signs on them as well.
Druids love the dollar. They're all about the green. I love it.
Druids Love the Dollar is the new album by John Mewett and will be dropping later this year with Bad Bunny.
Oh, could you imagine that collab? Oh, what a collab that would be.
That'd be good. Meanwhile, during all of this, The Undertaker had previously attended or was taking part in a monster truck rally. It's incredibly vague, this, and I've tried researching this to no avail. It's seemingly unconnected to the feud, although if I was IRS and I wanted to investigate a wrestler, I would probably start with the one who may have just bought a monster truck. So there is that. But yes, Undertaker was in an ongoing feud with Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation, specifically IRS this time. We'd see them collide at Royal Rumble 95. Pamela Anderson was also there. Let's discuss Royal Rumble 95 and Undertaker versus IRS.
Oh, I think Pamela Anderson is the biggest victim of this entire pay-per-view. Like, I watched some of the vignettes with her, and she did not look happy to be there.
I didn't watch it. I knew it was going to be sketchy ground. I was like, no, I can't go back.
Todd Pettengill should probably be on some sort of register.
I'm sure he is. He definitely is. What I was really surprised with the entrances, though, IRS doesn't have his own theme. It's just $1 Million Man one.
Oh, yes. In fact, the entire $1 Million Man stable do not have their own theme.
I couldn't believe that. IRS felt like a big thing for me. Like, I remember him so vividly as a kid.
Which is strange because as a kid, because I was the same, but like, again, we said he was a taxman. Like, he wore a suit with braces. Like, there was nothing interesting about the character, yet he was so memorable.
Yeah. I just remember all the stickers with him. Like, so many IRS stickers. No one wanted swap these for IRS stickers.
I have a little bit of a soft spot for IRS. Like, I feel like he's one of the last, he's just such a perfect example of a profession gone wrestler, Like,
oh my God, there's so much of it around this time of WWE. I made the mistake of watching the Royal Rumble from this pay-per-view.
Oh, silly John.
Oh, it is fucking garbage. So garbage.
So just for reference, this is Royal Rumble 95 where Shawn Michaels enters number 1 and leaves the winner.
Yeah, so it starts with him and Bulldog, and you think, okay, this is cool. Then it is fucking shit until number 10, Owen Hart. Then you get Lex Luger at some point and King Kong Bundy, and that is fucking it. Then there's just loads of dross, like people I've never heard of. Like,
Was Dross in it?
oh, was Dross in it? No, I don't think so. There's a guy called Duke the Dumpster.
Oh, I remember Duke the Dumpster. He was a bin man. And again, this is the wrestlers with professions.
The last three in this order was Dick Murdoch, some wrestler from a bygone age that no one had ever heard of, one of the head shrinkers, and number 30 was Crush.
Yeah,
All
his
right.
Crush was in the final four, wasn't he? I did skip to the final four on it.
So there's a
Luger
quick
and
sidebar.
Crush.
A quick sidebar on the actual Royal Rumble itself, because I feel like we're never going to get the chance to discuss this on the pod in any other way. British Bulldog got screwed.
Yeah.
100% got screwed because
They
you
played
can't be
his
playing
music.
his music.
Yeah, they played his fucking music at the end, and Michaels wasn't eliminated. It was outrageous. But don't watch
Shocking.
this Rumble, anyone who's listening. If you haven't watched
Yeah.
it, it is awful.
And now back to our regularly scheduled
Sorry.
Undertaker match. So IRS comes out, cuts a promo on the Undertaker, shockingly just telling him he's can't escape taxes.
I mean,
Which-
he likes taxes. That's his thing, man.
It's
Yeah.
true to form. And then Undertaker makes his entrance, accompanied once again by Paul Bearer and the comically large urn.
I
Yeah.
feel like Undertaker's entrance and his actual general demeanour, I feel like it's gotten scarier since we last saw him.
I've got a note down here that says, "Is Undertaker more gothic?"
Like, maybe it's because his hair's a bit longer and it's that streaky, sort of greasy black.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
started dyeing it blacker now. He's starting to look a little bit more like Attitude Era Undertaker, a little bit.
Yeah, because he's more tatted up as well.
Yeah. And with the entrance, you had a lot of the storm noises and stuff. It was a properly good entrance, I thought.
It was. I do struggle with the massive urn. It just is so silly.
Because they got a light in it.
Yeah,
They got like a 500-watt torch in there or something.
yeah,
that
along
they
with a
have to-
car battery to power it.
It
So-
has to be big.
Paul Bearer comes out carrying a spotlight hidden in an urn. And as they are preparing for the match, and Undertaker's doing his regular take off his hat, take off his tie, take off his jacket, IRS sneaks up on him and delivers what I think is probably the moment of the night, an absolutely beautiful drop kick, which is good and it's bad, isn't it?
I didn't pick up. I remember he started earlier, but I don't. Was it a good drop kick? It didn't strike me as.
No.
Oh, well, I suppose kind of this is the bad, is that kind of, I think the highlight of this match is a drop kick.
Yeah, I mean,
it
it can't have been like a Minoru Suzuki quality drop kick or anything.
well, no, but
or
I mean,
an
that's
Okada version, so like...
sure. It's better than I thought it would be. IRS drop kicks Undertaker. I think Undertaker no sells it as well, which makes it even better. And then Undertaker goes on to start beating up IRS, basically. So it's a very traditional heel versus face opening, isn't it? You've got IRS kind of running away and Taker just chasing him down and playing all the hits.
Yeah.
Lands a big boot,
Yep.
grabs IRS by the tie and chucks him across the ring.
I don't know how IRS wrestles in his ring gear. That shirt must have been absolutely sopping by the end of this match. Like, just wringing it out with water. And yeah, with the braces and the tie.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
I'm surprised the Wrestling Commission lets you wrestle in a tie, actually. I'm surprised there's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like Jack Tunney should have stepped in and sort of made
Choking
some sort of
hazard.
ruling.
Yep.
Quite literally.
That's what got Daniel Bryan fired. Not
Yeah.
choking out IRS, but just you don't bring a tie to the wrestling ring, and if you do, make sure it's like a clip-on one that you can remove easily, like the Undertaker's. But yeah, so Taker basically lays a beat down on IRS, big boot, tosses him by the tie, lands an old school. I don't think they're calling it an old school at this point because
No.
Undertaker's still
I
quite
don't know if they
new.
call it anything, actually.
Just kind of walking the ropes, isn't it? I've started to love that move, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
I always used to be a bit indifferent to it, but now
Yeah.
I'm just like,
You didn't like it?
Now we've seen the genesis of it, I like it more.
I think, yeah, that's exactly it. It's not that I didn't like it, it's that I just kind of felt like it's like, you know what's going to happen. He's going to smack him in the back of the neck, and it's a little bit like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the payoff isn't that great, but it was always seeing a guy his size just like, scale and then balance across, walk the top rope was always so impressive.
Do you know what?
And that's what I loved. Not necessarily the payoff.
I think that's exactly it. As I've gotten older and as I've gotten clumsier and as I've gotten more aware of the fact that I'm never going to be able to do stuff like that, I find it even more impressive seeing someone huge and intimidating do stuff like that.
I think also seeing it back at this time, where we've obviously seen quite a lot of other big guys, it makes you appreciate how athletic The Undertaker is compared to other big guys on the roster, certainly around this time, who are just absolute immobile lumps.
More on that later.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What I found weird about this match is that the crowd were deathly silent through the vast majority of it.
So, I mean, this is again a bit of a theme of just 1995 generally in WWF, is that real trough in the year, like just bad stuff. And
yeah, I guess they've got no Hulk. I don't know where Macho Man is. He left at this point, maybe.
he's left.
Yeah.
No Warrior.
It's bad times, and yeah, the crowd are just. I mean, unfortunately, the thing is that IRS, I think he's a good wrestler, but people just don't care about him.
He's a
And why would
workhorse, isn't
you?
he? Like he's not main event status kind of wrestler, but he'd do a job for you, wouldn't he?
I think that's exactly it. He's as exciting as an accountant would be. Really sorry if we have any listeners who are accountants. Please don't audit me. So, yes, IRS nearly clocks Dibiase, but he misses, but then they have a little bit of an argument. And at this point, I'm like, oh, wow. Are we going to see IRS maybe split off from Dibiase, kind of have his Virgil moment, stuff like that? But
The babyface taxman return. Classic wrestling trope.
Hey, nice.
But we don't see that. Instead, Dibiase ushers over two druids to the ring who,
Quite
That
obviously wrestlers, because you could see their tights and bare legs at some point.
they are. And it's taken me a while to find out who they were.
That first interference with DiBiase and stuff, that was like one of many in this match where the Undertaker just sidestepped almost every time. I think there was one time the Druids actually bamboozled him, but the rest of the time he just sort of stepped back with an elbow, stepped to the side, let someone else take the hit. It was quite funny there being so much heel tactics but none of it landing.
But I think that's quite true of all of Ted DiBiase's stuff, right? He never quite he was such a big heel for such a long period. It feels like such a long period, but never really, famously never got the belt.
Yeah, just not quite there. I mean,
Yeah, why go for that one? I've got this one.
And so DiBiase ushers over two druids. Those two druids are actually Jimmy Del Rey of the Heavenly Bodies and one of the Harris brothers, although it's not revealed which one. So, real Class A talent there.
Yeah, they both appeared in the Rumble later, those two. And lit it up.
The druids don't do a huge amount here. They obviously try to interfere in the match.
They do less than nothing.
Get involved.
Especially at the end.
They are a vehicle for just Undertaker to perform his sit-up and attack.
Yeah.
And this is more or less all that happens, is just the heels are playing, distract the ref and attack Undertaker.
There was a moment in this where IRS had Taker in an abdominal stretch, and it was like, oh, is he going to tap out? But obviously, due to Adam's Undertaker fact a little while ago that he's never tapped out, I was like, well, there's no peril here.
Now, just quickly, how many people have you ever seen tap out to an abdominal stretch?
Good point.
Although, for IRS's two moments in this match, those being a sick drop kick and a sick abdominal stretch, you're batting 1,000 is what I would say. But yes, IRS locks in an abdominal stretch. Taker counters with a hip toss. goes to his amazing elbow drop into the sit-up, which I absolutely love, even though he never lands the elbow drop. And then he chokeslams IRS, pins him, and the match is over.
Yeah.
What I love about the pin, though, is from the hard cam, obviously, right in the background, next to the ring, you can see one of the druids just looking as he gets chokeslammed, and it's like straight directly in the middle of the shot as well, just there,
Just
dear.
watching.
just chilling
And
out.
so IRS eats a pin and is not the man to stop the Undertaker, surprise, surprise. And then the druids attack the Undertaker. And
Do you know what? Going back, it didn't even take a tombstone.
no.
That's how much worth they put into IRS.
Yeah,
The druids attack the Undertaker. I think he fights them off a bit, but then King Kong Bundy turns up, and the crowd couldn't care less.
Oh dear.
I thought
me,
maybe
this
he
was
was quite
terrible.
new at this point, King Kong Bundy, but no, he'd been in
No.
WWE for a long time. I remember at WrestleMania 3.
Yeah,
so it must have been ages.
King Kong Bundy turns up and squashes the Undertaker, and I can only think that this is the modern day equivalent of maybe Baron Corbin being a run-in. It's just a little bit.
I think even that is harsh on Baron.
Yeah, even I'm going to stick up for Baron Corbin there.
We've finally done it. We found the level.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I mean,
Well, there
he
we
like
go.
hit what? An elbow drop, a leg drop, and a splash in this moment, and each was awful.
Well, let's not talk too much about Bundy because we've got a lot to go.
And so King Kong Bundy squashes the Undertaker. Meanwhile, IRS attacks Paul Bearer and steals the comically oversized urn. And then Undertaker, without the power of the urn, can't perform his sit-up, and so Paul Bearer kind of channels the crowd's energy to kind of get Taker out of the ring. But that's it. He stumbles off.
I liked how he sold that though at the end. Like,
He was really into it.
yeah, did a good job there. Weird match this because I remember at the time quite enjoying it, but even when I was looking at my notes, I was like, I don't remember any of this. Like, it feels I enjoyed it, but instantly forgettable.
This is just like a prime example of what nostalgia can do to you. You know, like, because there's just this era of people and wrestlers that you just hold up in such high regard, and then you watch it back and you're like, what was there apart from the costumes?
Yeah,
And like the size of people and the muscles on some people, it was just like, oh my days, this was awful.
This is particularly egregious as far as Undertaker matches go. It's very, very formulaic and just very predictable. And
I mean,
yeah,
it's mid card, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at the mid card here.
we are indeed.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go to the scoring.
I'm doing a scoring today, aren't I? Right. Okay, Sam. Do you want to give me your rating for match and for Undertaker's performance?
Right. I'm going to give you a hard one here. I say that. You're using spreadsheets, so it's not going to be that difficult.
I've got
the match.
Got my average formula all set up, ready to go.
Beautiful. Divided by 3, because there's only 3 of us.
It works out the average across the 3 sales.
That's even better. The match, 0.75.
7.5.
It's bad. It's a real bad match. Undertaker, 0.75.
I can't wait to see what you're going to give the next match. Brett.
I'm going to go a 1 for the match and a 1 for the Taker. Didn't really, I don't know, just didn't feel like he really brought what he had in even previous ones to this. I don't know, just so forgettable.
I'm also going to give the match 1. Is that harsh? No. But I'm going to take a 2. So the match got an average rating of 0.916666.
That's
There
his
you
worst
go.
match to date.
And Taker got a performance rating of 1.25.
It's a poor showing, isn't it?
Not great.
Can only get better.
It can only get better.
Things.
But before that, we're going to go to Brett here for my favourite part of the episode, because we are about to have an Undertaker fact.
This is so exciting, listeners, because Brett had this thrown at him literally hours before we recorded.
You want to hear an interesting Undertaker fact?
And I have the worst memory. So I don't remember any of the facts we've got so far. I think I remember the cucumber facts coming. So I've not got that one.
Yeah, we've had that.
So
Okay.
you're probably about to rinse me for doing a fact that we've already had.
Okay, I've got a backup one just in case.
Yeah. So The Undertaker is actually a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Ooh,
Right.
I don't
Whoa,
think that
that's
has come
There you
up.
go.
That's a great one.
Although he accomplished this in a mere 19 months. So the validity of said honour is in question. Did he get it that fast
You
because
can't.
he's The Undertaker?
You can't be a black belt in 1.5 years. That's preposterous.
Exactly. So, how real it is.
I'll take it. It's a good fact, Brett. Well done.
That's
It's
a
good
great fact.
I think it's
Yeah,
a bit
I mean,
like, it's probably not quite as bad as Dwight in The Office getting a black belt in karate,
I
but
love that episode.
nearly there.
Oh, that's fascinating. I suppose that kind of explains why Undertaker kind of introduced the triangle chokehold
Yeah.
to his repertoire.
Big fan of MMA, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
I think he is.
redneck, so that's a given.
Yeah. And so, wow, that was a really good Undertaker fact. I'm just going to use my backup one anyway, because
We've got
today-
a load more episodes of this to do.
yeah, but I can only use this one today.
Okay.
That's what makes this one a great one. Is today
Ooh.
marks the 23rd anniversary of the day Undertaker threw Mankind off Hell in a Cell.
Ooh, lovely
Good fact.
And it's a shame because we have to edit this and then release it, so it's going to be a couple of days out in the bigger scheme of things. But on the day that we are recording this, it's correct, and that's all that really matters. Match 19: The Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 11 with special guest referee Larry Young.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
The Hartford Civic Center in Connecticut.
And now, WrestleMania 11. This year starring Baywatch's Pamela Anderson, Home Improvement's Jonathan Taylor Thomas, MTV's Jennifer McCarthy, NYPD Blues' Nicholas Turturro, with special musical guests Salt and Pepper, and featuring Lawrence Taylor's All-Pro Team.
$1995 is often cited as one of the worst years in WWF history. I spend a lot of time writing these preparatory kind of introductions to the matches to try and set the scene. And here's the thing, is that 95 is awful. And WCW is starting to take off. The Click are basically dominating the booking backstage. Finances are down. New character gimmicks aren't getting over. Isaac Yankem DDS is introduced this year. Like it's not a good year, and this is really heavily reflected and for us in the fact that there's no build up for King Kong Bundy versus The Undertaker. There are no vignettes, there are no promos, no gravestones repossessed, no carpentry classes from The Undertaker, nothing from Paul Bearer. It's literally, we don't even get Undertaker saying King Kong Bundy's going to rest in peace. We got nothing. King Kong Bundy beat up Undertaker at Royal Rumble. I was about to say Survivor Series. And that is enough of a reason for Undertaker to want to beat up King Kong Bundy.
This is a WrestleMania match.
I know, I couldn't believe
that. Only just like clicked in my brain just now that this was at WrestleMania.
Did you see the rest of the card though? The rest of this WrestleMania card is awful.
This is an atrocious WrestleMania that, sadly, for Hardest Part of the Ring, I have now watched twice because we once decided to review WrestleMania 10 and I accidentally watched 11.
Oh, that's bad. I've never watched all of this.
Bitter.
And I will never watch all of this WrestleMania. I mean, it's headline. The main event is Bam Bam Bigelow versus an NFL guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like Bam Bam.
Yeah, me too.
Probably shouldn't have been the main event.
No. It's weird, isn't it, going back and seeing this, and you can see why WCW grabbed so many people, because WWF at this time was awful.
There's perhaps a lot of parallels with the current WWF project, or maybe not so much the current WWE product, but maybe the one from a couple of years ago that more or less gave birth to AEW. In the fact that I think if you do something bad enough and become sort of complacent enough, you will get people rising up saying, hold on, we can do this better. And I feel like maybe that's what's happening in 1995. Like, the WWF is just... I think they are still reeling from a lot of the lawsuits that they were kind of dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously kind of a lot of their greatest stars had now kind of left the company. It was a transitional time, and in fact there is a book. 1995 is recognised as so bad that there is a book written about it, about how bad WWF was then. I think it's called Titan Sinking. And,
wow.
I mean, spoilers, it doesn't sink. Here we are 30 years later still reviewing it. But
I was quite excited about this match though, because I've only ever seen one other King Kong Bundy match, and that was at WrestleMania 3. And admittedly, that does involve some mini wrestlers as well, and Hillbilly Jim.
Right.
It wasn't a great match, but he's quite like an iconic character in the history of wrestling, and I thought could be a good match.
I sort of got that, but then after the beat down at the end of the last match, I was like, this is not going to be good.
Well, the interest is King Kong Bundy doesn't get an entrance. He's already in the ring.
That's always quite a worrying sign. And so, the special guest referee Larry Young does get a name strap, which is perhaps more than King Kong Bundy got.
Yep.
And now this is because at this point in time, the MLB were on strike.
Oh, what? So the ref was like, I need to pay my mortgage?
Yeah, basically. In fact, this is really weird because WWF used this to their advantage by having a promo at this time, which essentially was WWF, it's never on strike, or the season never ends. And there's the season never ends, and then there's 30 years later with no off-season whatsoever. But
certainly no performers union.
No
collective
afraid to stick the
bargaining
boot
agreement.
in. And so, Larry Young needing a bit of money, I suppose.
Is he qualified to do this?
I think once you become a referee in one sport, it's kind of like an equivalent degree in anything you can do. Like, you're fine.
Yeah, you don't need to know the rules of each individual thing. You just need to have the right outfit.
Yeah,
and look
exactly.
the part. If you look like a ref, people will not listen to you.
All about just calling it down the middle, you know? If you can do that, you can do anything. So the match is being officiated by baseball umpire Larry Young because the MLB was on strike, and whilst Taker is, now stop me if you've heard this one before, taking off his hat and his tie and his coat,
yeah,
he is attacked from behind by, this time, King Kong Bundy, and he misses.
Yeah.
And when you can't hit a man whose back is turned, you know there's going to be problems.
He's a weird-looking man, isn't he, King Kong Bundy? Like, he's got no neck, the biggest fat neck roll on his back. It looks like a huge salami.
And moving was a struggle.
Oh my god, his punches were awful. The worst clotheslines I've ever seen in a wrestling ring.
If you could call them clotheslines.
Yeah.
So, the Undertaker
This podcast, The Undertaking, has, although it's obviously about Undertaking, has been a bit of a reappreciation of some of the old big guys. Like, we liked Giant Gonzalez, Kamala. We
loved Gonzalez.
Waxed lyrical about Yoko.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe King Kong Bundy would be one of those guys. He is not. King Kong Bundy is fucking rubbish.
And so Undertaker lands some strikes, an old school, a current school at the time, and then a handful of clotheslines, eventually flooring King Kong Bundy. Taker takes this opportunity to go retrieve the urn.
Yeah, that happened so quickly and easily. He just got out the ring, grabbed it.
Wasn't that sort of like meant to be a
match as well.
clothesline out the ring as well, though? Like,
I think so.
I think King Kong Bundy was meant to clothesline him, and he just rolled out the ring and then just like grabbed the urn. It was so
Undertaker,
weird and seamless.
He retrieves the urn, and Ted DiBiase, ever the schemer, brings out Karma.
I was so gutted when I saw Karma come out because I was like, it's Charles Wright. Is it Charles Wright? It's a Godfather, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's favourite wrestler of all time.
Formerly known as Papa Shango, Karma steals the urn and claims he's going to melt it down into some gold jewellery, which, considering that we know that Karma becomes the Godfather, I'd say he's probably going to be successful with.
Good point. Also, this had no effect on the match at all. It didn't play into it in any way. It just happened.
So, this is quite incredible. Karma steals the urn, setting up, well, spoilers, the next Undertaker pay-per-view match, because that's how this works. Meanwhile, Bundy gets some offense in, and he scoop slams the Undertaker, and it's like, wow, King Kong Bundy, he's going to do it. He's beating up the Undertaker. He's lost the urn. And then King Kong Bundy does the thing that everyone really wants to see at a wrestling show and puts Undertaker in a 5-minute rest hold.
Yeah.
Blowing gas though, wasn't he, Bundy, at this point?
And you don't know how, from how little he had done.
So little. He barely paced around the ring once.
It's King Kong Bundy puts Undertaker in a chin lock, in which somehow Undertaker, by the end of this chin lock, has more energy than King Kong Bundy does. So Bundy lands a splash in the corner, which Taker no-sells.
Yep.
Taker then scoop slams King Kong Bundy.
That was quite impressive, that bit, because he's a big lad.
Yeah. Bounces off the rope, lands a diving clothesline. And it's over. And he pins King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
And King Kong Bundy was pinned for a 3 count with a clothesline.
Yeah, I think this match was only like 6 minutes. And I felt every one of those seconds.
Yeah, you did.
5 minutes of them were a rest hold. And that's it. Shall we score this match?
Oh, okay. Let me get the spreadsheet out.
What is there to say about this match in general?
I was generally quite excited about seeing a King Kong Bundy match.
Yeah, but it doesn't take much to get you excited, John.
Yeah, even I was disappointed with this, though, Brett.
You're the most optimistic and like, yeah, this is going to be great. You must have been like, I don't know, really needing bringing round afterwards.
Yeah, my wife found me passed out on the sofa. Okay, Sam, what did you give the match?
Well, here's the thing: is that I know at some point in the future we're going to have to review The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which is kind of like the bench line of the lowest score.
I reckon that's better than this.
We'll know in 2028 when we get around to that. However, because that's the baseline of the lowest score, I can't give it an absolute 0. So I'm saying this match is a 0.5 out of 5.
And what would you give Taker's performance?
Do you know what? He had to work with nothing there and he did something. I'm going to give him a 1.
Wow. No praise. Brett, what would you give the match?
I am going to go an absolute 0 for the match.
Absolute 0.
And I'm going to give Taker a 1. you know, he didn't have like anything to work with, really.
Is the match better than Zero?
This
didn't
is such
even,
a
like-
sad moment for
It
the
didn't even like
Undertaking.
make use of like, so in some of the previous Undertakings we've done, like they didn't necessarily have great matches, but like the story and the like the pomp of everything that was going on around it, you know, like having all those guys come in and run in and like attack, like there was so much outside of the actual match to enjoy, which this one just didn't have.
I think that absolutely nails the problem with this match. It is just a nothing match.
Yeah, that no one cared about it. No one. Vince
Not
didn't
even
care
King
about
Kong
it.
Bundy.
Or the crowd. The crowd would definitely sign it again. I'm going to give it 0.25. 'Cause I kind of think at least I did put on a wrestling match.
Is that like the absolute bare minimum to get a score? Is put on a
The
match?
bell rang and there was a free count. It gets 0.25. I'll give Taker 1 as well because he did do some stuff.
What I would say... Oh, go on, Brett. Go on, John.
So overall, that gives the match a rating of 0.25 and Taker a rating of 1. This is the worst match we've reviewed so far.
That is brutal. I think Adam would be screaming at his podcast listening device right now with the fact that we've decided to break lower than 1. But the match is awful. Both of them are bad, and this one is possibly the worst.
Yeah, it gets what it deserves. We know things are gonna get better. You know, we know what's to come, so it's okay for the Taker to hit this low.
I think what's a weird thing is, in a strange way, I enjoy how bad it is. Like,
It was quick.
It's just really crap. And you as a listener do not have to watch this match now because we've watched it for you and you don't need to worry about it. King Kong Bundy doesn't bring anything to the table here.
He really doesn't. So disappointing for such a big character in the history of wrestling.
And that was it. The Undertaker's defeated IRS. He's defeated King Kong Bundy. And yet somehow his feud with Ted DiBiase's $1 million stable is far from over. He has an urn to retrieve, a tournament to wrestle in,
Ooh, King of the Ring!
and a future minion, some apocalypse sausages
No!
to face. But that is a story for another Undertaking. Okay, and that was this week's Undertaking. A poor performance all round from... Well, not from the people reviewing the Undertaking. You guys did great.
Thanks, Sam.
I think... Thanks, and I did great as well.
Yeah, all
Next podcast, we're going back to John's house for a Follow the Feud.
yeah, time to check in on what Daniel Bryan's been up to in the mid-2000s.
Amazing. I can't wait for that. It's nice to like follow Daniel Bryan's career because you know that no matter what he's going to do, it's probably going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Probably. There was that one feud he had with Big Cass, but we don't need to talk about that.
Oh my word, it did.
And if you have any thoughts about King Kong Bundy, Brett, how do people get in touch with us?
Actually, I would love to know if there's a really great King Kong Bundy match out there.
Yeah, let us know.
Please can
about
people contact us with that? Yeah.
that. And to do that, they can send their email to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. If they still use email, they might do. Or they can message us on Instagram, Facebook, or tweet it at us via @hardestpartpod.
Wow. Amazing. Well, that's it. We're done.
Jobs are good and well done, guys.
Another podcast in the bank, another Undertaking down. Looking forward to the next one.
Oh, sounds great, the next one.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I tell you, like we've got maybe a couple of more rough matches, but when we hit 1996, it kicks off.
Ooh.
And we are entering prime Undertaking
Oh.
territory. So something to look forward to for the future. But for now, thank you for listening. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for hosting. Great job.
Thank you. I love you.
Oh, I love you too, man. And you
Thanks.
too, Brett. Don't want to feel left
thanks.
out. Not
Yeah,
Adam.
I did.
Fuck Adam.
Right, well, that was hardest part of the ring. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
That is the hardest part